Hello everyone, in this video I'll be ranking the best Lies of P Overture DLC bosses on a tier list from best to worst. This DLC has some of the best boss fights that we've ever gotten in a Souls-like game, and I'll be touching on each of these bosses and talking about what made them so enjoyable to go against. The first one we'll be starting off with is the Tyrannical Predator boss, which is one that you find in Krot Zoo. This is the first one that we'll be facing off in the DLC. Overall, it's not the most enjoyable fight, honestly, just because it's just a large creature, not really the easiest to go against. I prefer in games like this, especially parry heavy games, when it's a humanoid type enemy, like some of the fights we get later on in this game. It wasn't that bad as an introduction to the DLC. I think it was just more so an annoying fight in general, just large hitboxes that, I mean, it was slow attacking, but whenever you strafe to the side, it could still hit you. So overall, not the worst fight in the game. I think it was decent at best. So I'll put it probably somewhere around the B to C tier. Somewhere around there. It wasn't anything memorable for sure, unlike the next fight that we got with Markiona, the Puppeteer of Death. This fight was very flashy, and you were going against not only Markiona here, but also her puppet, so you had two things to pay attention to. Now, for this fight, you really just wanted to attack Markiona there, and you didn't have to defeat the puppet itself, so it was actually a pretty interesting dynamic. I wish that we got to fight against like Geppetto with this, maybe the Puppeteer style fight. It would have been cool. I like that we got this though in the DLC, and this is one of the more memorable fights. Not the absolute best, but I think this one was pretty good. It was satisfying to do some of the parries in this fight, and bringing in the Spectre, they had the claws there, which is a cool way to see the new weapon that you get after beating this boss. This attack right here was very satisfying, and there's a lot of moments like that in this fight where it just felt really fun, and I enjoyed the parry timing and everything that went with this. So overall, this fight is, I would actually say it's up to the A to the S tier. I really enjoyed this one. I think this is one of the best fights. I'm going to put in the S tier. I enjoy this one quite a bit, and I think other people have as well. But yeah, it was just a cool dynamic being able to fight against someone that used a puppet. And next up, we had Veronique, leader of the sweepers here. This fight was actually kind of challenging because her hits would basically 1 to 2 shot you because of that giant hammer there. The trick with this one was to use the perfect parry grindstone, and with that we could actually break the hammer and make it not deal as much damage towards us. The big problem was she would always follow up her attacks with those exploding attacks there, which made this very challenging. But as mentioned, if you use the perfect parry grindstone here, this could keep you safe where you could dodge roll to safety there. I was using the 2 dragon sword as well. But yeah, she'll just wail away at you with this hammer, and if you get hit with it, it hits really hard. Another cool thing is this was voice acted by, if you played Baldur's Gate 3, I do a lot of videos on that game. Shadowheart, one of the main characters, it was voice acted by her girlfriend, which I thought was really cool. But you see there, we were able to break down the hammer and then get the critical hit off. It was decent once you get rolling with this fight. I think this is one of the more frustrating ones in the game, but it overall wasn't too bad. So with that, I'd have to say that this one somewhere's around, I put it into the A tier. I know it was frustrating for some people, but once you got it down to break her hammer, it did make this a lot better. And next is the Overseer, Two-Face Overseer here. This fight was a fun one because you could summon an Alidoro there, and it had a lot of health, so it felt like this fight was actually meant to be fought with Alidoro. So he does give you his horn before you get to this boss fight, and it just makes sense. So you can summon him in, he comes crashing through the window, and I think it was pretty cinematic of a fight overall. I enjoyed this one once. It was a challenging fight because he is got a lot of health. And he has like a 12-hit combo that he just unrelentlessly keeps attacking with. So yeah, if you get stuck in that, you're pretty much going down. But the key to this was to let Alidoro grab aggro. Alidoro was using the 2 dragon sword and the new bow weapon, and I used that as well. So it kind of felt funny. It was just a thematic fight in general, and not the worst once you summon an Alidoro, but if you're to do this solo, it's definitely more of a challenge because you can see here some of his combos, they're telegraphed well, but later on in the fight, once he gets below half health, he brings out some very devastating attacks. You can see there, we've not done that much damage to him yet, so it's just a big health sponge of a boss, but it overall wasn't too bad. I would have to say that overall, I would probably put this one somewhere around the A tier as well. It was fun being able to summon an Alidoro for that. Big brawler, brute types. It could potentially go S tier. Like, I could see an argument for that. It was an enjoyable one, but for me, I would have to say the A tier. And next is the Anguished Guardian. This was an interesting fight because I feel like it was their attempt at somewhat of a dragon style boss where it's just a large creature that you kind of run around and flank. It had horns on its hand and on its head that you could break to be able to deal extra damage and stagger the boss. So there were some interesting mechanics here, but it was just ugly to look at. I would have rather fought a dragon, honestly. You were able to summon in your Mimic at least, which made this fight a bit more bearable, or at least summon in your Spectre. It was able to draw the aggro. It would go down relatively quickly in this fight because the attacks are devastating. And once you get to the later half of this boss fight, it did have some very annoying blasting attacks, laser beams, and it would jam its spear down and deal a ton of damage with the spear itself, like that large explosion there. You could dodge roll it though, so that was another thing. There's some pretty decent counters to a lot of the attacks that you went against, so if you knew to stick close to it and try to get to the backside as much as possible, it'd make this fight a little bit easier. I didn't find it that bad overall, but yeah, I feel like without the Spectre, it does make things a little bit more challenging. So I would have to say this is probably... It was good. I would have probably rather something else. It kind of reminded me of the Andreas boss fight that we got in the base game of Lies of P. And that one was okay, but I'd probably say this one's about B tier. And next is the Premetamorphic green monster. This boss fight was it was okay. The arena is very small, so that's one of the worst parts about it. If you bring fire damage, it makes it a lot better, and also if you have the Carcass Amulet, you can deal additional damage. I like the Salamander Dagger Blade here alongside the Acid Spear. It gives you a nice poke attack, and yeah, you can see a lot of the attacks you can parry, especially if you're using the grindstone that gives you the perfect parries there. So you can break its posture relatively easily. I thought this fight was cool because it's the pre-metamorphic version of a boss we fight later on. It did have an annoying grab though you had to watch for, but overall, not the worst fight in the game, not the best, but it was something. This one I probably put around the B tier as well. It just wasn't as good as some of the other fights that we've gotten, so yeah, I'd say around there it's probably good. Next we have Lumacchio, leader of the bastards here. This fight wasn't easy at first, I'll put it that way. So he has 3 phases. He'll heal himself, and he'll also have the 3rd phase where he turns into like a snail, and it's very, very challenging. This was voice acted by Neil Newbin, who does Astarion in Baldur's Gate 3. Really great voice actor. He's also in Resident Evil and Detroit Become Human. Big fan of the voice actor, and it was cool to see him in this game. The fight itself, however, was kind of challenging. I resorted to using the Aegis shield with the poke, and that made this a whole lot better. He'll also heal himself, which was kind of funny, and then you can wait till he's done healing, and then go in for a free crit to get some extra damage off and apply your statuses. And you can take advantage of that, because when he's recovering, you can actually throw the stun grenades there and just keep him in place, and also build up posture for another posture break. But it's the 2nd phase that gets really brutal when he goes into the snail form here, and you can see it's he does attack relentlessly. You can get his posture broke though, and that's really what you want to focus on. Although having a very high posture, you can get this down with I guess relative ease using the Aegis shield and the perfect parry grindstone. Those 2 things work very well here to keep yourself alive and to get him taken down. So yeah, overall this fight was pretty good. I actually liked it. I would probably put it at... It was challenging at first, but I think once you get it down, it was more of a satisfying fight. I didn't like it as much as Markiona, but I might put it top of the A tier. I might put it even S tier. It was a fun one, and I like the voice actor as well, so it made it cool. The character itself was also pretty interesting too. You seen him at the hotel, and you see him later on in the world, and the golden snail mask you get from him is pretty nice as well. And finally, Arlecchino, the Blood Artist. This fight was actually a good fight. I think this may be one of the best boss fights that we've ever gotten in any Souls game. It's satisfying. You can summon in Leia there, and it just makes it more epic. The fight is very challenging. I would recommend bringing a type of acid weapon to this, as it makes it a little bit easier in terms of damage. But the first phase is rough. You attack him there, and then he'll relentlessly keep coming at you. If you don't use Leia, it's a brutal attacking fight. You see there, he has crazy combos. The combos looked really cool as well. So that was another element to this fight, is you were going against something that looked super interesting too. And you can see there, if you rewind it there, she had these fun attacks that she would do as well. So the dash attack that you can later get, giving you an idea of what the weapon would look like. Now, my favorite part here is once you get to the 2nd phase, you get a special critical hit with her. This is into the 2nd phase. He does this big attack here. You can actually sprint just to avoid all the skulls coming at you, and then dodge roll whenever he does his landing attack, and if you time it right, you won't take damage. And then he does this large area of effect, and then he comes running at you again, and with more and more attacks. I thought this was really cool, and it's just a challenging one to dodge roll away from. I almost got downed here because that exploding attack at the end. That's a long hit combo, but it was fun. Going into the 2nd phase, getting something like that was really cool. Now, the critical hits for this fight were something else. Like, whenever you pull those off, it looked awesome. So, into the 2nd phase here, critical hit, boom with Leia coming in as well. It would have been sweet to see things like this during the base game, but this was one of the most hype moments. Getting that posture break and seeing this play out was so good. Literally Judgment cut in from Devil May Cry 2. The weapon art for this was really fun, and the fight itself very challenging. I think that this is one of the best fights that we've ever gotten in a Souls game, and this is going at the very top of the S tier. Enjoyable, very enjoyable. Crazy combos. The parrying on this one was nuts. So yeah, overall, I would have to say that the best is Arlecchino, the Blood Artist, Markiona, Lumacchio, some of the best. The Two-Face Overseer and Veronique were pretty decent as well. Very memorable. I think that this was this was a very solid DLC. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm always curious hearing other people's thoughts and opinions on these bosses. Maybe you experienced them different than I did and just give me new appreciation for them. So thank you so much for watching. Have yourself a great day. Subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see y'all in the next video.